What's up, dog? It's Claudia, and I am streaming on two platforms tonight: personal Facebook page and What's Up, Dog, my brand new YouTube channel on YouTube. That is capital W, capital U, capital D, as in a dog named Wud. What's Up, Dog? It's this little tiny channel, so you have to really search for it. And I will be posting some on my Facebook page. I try to keep them separate as I do this and I move along. I am Claudia from Hands to Paws. Please go over and like our Hands to Paws Facebook page. I'm super proud of it, and I think that you will totally enjoy it if you love dogs. Of course, I am primarily a dog channel. Emotional intelligence. Should you get a dog for your child? Is a dog appropriate? Are you getting a puppy over Christmas? Are you going to be a forever home for a rescue dog? Is that something you're thinking about over Christmas? Are you prepared for the financial responsibility, for the work schedule? Is there a child involved? Are you getting a dog to be a companion for a young child? Are you prepared to also be responsible for that dog? Because often children really, really, didn't you want a puppy as a dog? As a child? That's funny. Didn't you want a child as a puppy? Let me flip that around. Didn't you want a child as a puppy? As a child, what kind of puppy did you want? What kind of puppy did you want as a child? What was the dog that you were dreaming of that was going to be your BFF when you were a kid? What did that look like for you? Let me see if I get any comments tonight. And if I can see who's here. So I know I had a puppy as a child. And of course, as a child, I got what I would consider a trauma puppy. So often families will get dogs for children after traumatic experiences. And that is not such a bad thing. All right. Okay, guys, hold on. Traumatic experiences. And that is not. So one of the things about learning to do these channels is getting over the messy experiences, and that is not. So learning to do these. I wound up with a herding dog as a child, which was my trauma dog, and to this day, I am in love with herding dogs. See, just that little bit of attention, and I lost my viewer. All right. So we want to talk about the holidays and making sure that all the dogs that are in our homes are kept safe, and we have expectations set up for guests, and that we have Christmas tree safety, and we have food safety, we have door dodging safety. We have been discussing that all month. From there, we talked about the Summer Wells case, which is 6 months today. Little Summer Wells is missing. And we discussed the dogs on their property and how dogs alert. And I started to discuss the importance of that relationship between children and their dogs. And most true avid dog lovers have dreamed about having a dog in their lives. And they might have been watching Westminster, or might have been watching TV and seen some movie, right? There's all these wonderful, wonderful movies with dogs and about relationships with dogs, and decided that was the dog you wanted. I watched Westminster when I was a young girl, and I saw a miniature pinscher, and I just thought that was the most animated, cutest thing I had ever seen in my life. And I owned two after that. So herding dogs and min pins. And I also fell in love with Dobermans. So if you please comment and tell me, what kind of dog did you dream about growing up with? What do dogs offer to children? And I'm going to do this disclaimer again. If you are getting a dog for a child and you're getting that dog to help teach that child responsibility, You want to set up all the expectations. You might even want to draw out a little contract with the child, because odds are the child is going to fail in one arena or the other, because it is the nature of the puppy or child is to be childlike. So if you're going to do this, know that this is a commitment that you are taking on to help your child learn commitment, structure, and the biggie, which I consider emotional intelligence. So I believe that children and dogs' relationship is incredibly important, especially if there has been traumatic events, stress, neglect, bullying at school. Dogs provide an ear. They are angels on 4. They provide play and exercise. They give unconditional love, and they teach a child compassion. Would you agree? Because when we discussed the case last night, we discussed how wonderful, though there were 20 dogs on the property and it looked like there possibly was a lot of neglect going on, the relationship between those children and the dogs was incredibly endearing. So just get my little notes up here for you. What is emotional intelligence? What is that? How would a dog help provide that? And I just want to let you know, from this, we will go into therapy and how dogs help with therapy, but we're not doing all that tonight. We're just doing emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence refers to the ability to perceive, control, and evaluate emotions. So a child's perspective obviously would be very different than adult's perspective. The evaluation of those emotions obviously would be very different depending on what stage that child was at, right? Like a 7-year-old's perceptions are very different than a 13-year-old's perceptions. And evaluate emotions. So how do children evaluate emotions? Children have a very different perspective on an evaluation of anger, hurt, stress, what else? Sensitivity, somebody crying, grief. Children, their emotional intelligence is developing, and dogs give real life compassion. They give real life alerting. They give real life, don't touch me, I'm not going to like that. They give instantaneous reaction. That's the word I'm looking for. Reaction. Are you getting used to me being on at 9 o'clock? Is that what's happening? Becoming consistent with this. So owning a dog allows children to practice these skills. And what do we know about practice? We know that puppies are children by nature, and they need practice, practice, practice. They need to know a skill, they need to learn a skill, and then they need to be able to apply a skill. Know, learn, apply. Puppies need to know, learn, and be able to apply and have the self-control in order to do all that. Children need to know, learn, and apply. What? Children need to know, learn, and apply, just like puppies. It's part of development. And that is also where children start to learn emotional intelligence. And we all know, like those super calm personalities. And I'm sure a lot of that is nature, dispositions. People are born predisposed to do things, but that's where nurture comes in. And the ability to calm ourselves down or take a walk or take a break. And I'm going to go into exercise being super important with young children today, because we live in such a dynamic, changing world, and most of our youth is playing games. They are on the computer. We socialize. We're very learning to socialize different. We're learning to communicate different. I'm trying to create a community of dog-loving, dog-talking people that want to have real life company and conversation. And so children need to get out. There needs to be a reason for them to go outside and smell the fresh air. And kids love dogs, and dogs like to play. Dogs just like, I don't care. I know dogs that are 16 years old and still will chase a ball. They love going for a walk. It stimulates them because of their sense of smell. It is so pleasurable for them, and they can bring that pleasure into a walk for you as an adult or definitely a child. Physical contact, playing with a ball, playing tug of war, interactive hide and seek with a dog are great ways to have interactions away from computers and instantaneous reactions, because dogs give us, excuse me, instantaneous joy, right? Releases endorphins, lowers blood pressure, reduces cortisol levels in the system. It is rewarding. It is rewarding for the child, and it is rewarding for the animal. Dogs have a special bond with children. And you always want to pick your breed. You want to know your energy level. You want to make sure that is an appropriate breed or an appropriate age for children, or a dog that has been raised with children. You always want to make sure children will get bit in the face, not because dogs are so vicious, but children be bit in the face because they are face level, okay? Not because a dog's lunging up and biting a child in the face. So setting up expectations with children and educating them, which could be so much fun. And you can do a lot of that on the computer. I recommend Zach George. That's who is my number one recommendation for training. But children should definitely be involved in training because it brings joy. I'm Claudia. I've been in the business for 38 years of the canine industry. I'm Claudia from Hands to Paws Grooming Salon in Florida, in Central Florida, not in Central Florida, in BioCala, in a town called Citrus County, Beverly Hills. I owned a dog training business, a positive reinforcement therapy-based business called Heavenly Hounds in Fort Lauderdale. And I took Purdue University on canine behavior. When I would go to people's houses, I specifically dealt with children and exercise with children and their dogs, primarily Frisbee, because a well-behaved dog is a well-exercised dog. Similar to young children who are kept in activities and well-exercised out tend to be calmer children, right? You have to put all that energy somewhere. It's going to come out somewhere. And often I would go to people's homes and there would be a combative battle between parent and child over how to train the dogs. So I primarily would work on tricks, because what I found is that children can teach a dog a trick incredibly quickly. It is not boring as sit, down, stay, and duration could be. Does that make sense? Am I keeping your interest here? Children could learn tricks, could teach a dog tricks. So you could give a child a sound bite, some music, right? Back in the day, I wish they had TikTok back in the day. Boy, I would have been famous. A sound bite, and give them a trick. Shake hands, give them a time limit, and you would be amazed what these children, without argument with their parents, could accomplish. You would be amazed at how much fun they had, and that they would practice that trick so that they could put on a demonstration the next time I came. And what did we do? We rewarded them for that behavior, because the trick is in the train. The trick is in the train. It's making it a positive experience for that child, which is why I like Zach George so much. Not only will he explain puppy development, he will make it fun and positive. Does that make sense? Okay, because children learn compassion from dogs. Children, it becomes an incredibly compassionate relationship. They will move away from their computers to play with the dog, especially if you reward the child by having them play with the dog or learn tricks. Not just sit, stay down, which they should learn, but tricks. It creates an amazing communication, which helps develop emotional intelligence. Am I speaking your language right now about how important a relationship with a dog and a child could be? You know, there's a lot of pride in taking care of something living. There's a lot of pride in making sure that a dog is fed every day. There is a lot of pride for a child in making sure that a dog is walked every day. And these are things that you want to reinforce with the children, that it is a positive, not a negative. Keeping in mind, parents, this was my number one thing when I was out on the road training parents and children, is that it has to also, there has to be a reward base, because children will slip into childlike behavior. So you have to make sure that they are following up. That is emotional intelligence to self-discipline. And it can be fun. And it doesn't have to be an argument, as long as it's rewarding. Because puppies will be puppies and children will be children. They have to go through their phases. The nice thing about the dog is that is pretty much over within 2 years. So have to have that teenager. Remember, most dogs lose their home between 6 months and 12 months of age, because they turned into teenagers and they're not that cute little puppy anymore. When a child has a compassion, they're learning emotional intelligence, they're taking active activity in helping train and teach the dog, they're getting noticed and recognized for doing these behaviors. They're recognized and noticed for taking care of their best friend. That builds a lot of self-esteem. And children today need some self-esteem. It builds self-esteem. It builds emotional intelligence. It builds character, good character aspects. It provides exercise and playtime. I don't know if I'm getting any comments, guys. If you guys are giving me a shout out, hey, if I do see that there are people on. So please forgive me if you're giving it. And if you, please, you're always welcome. Thanks for the heart. To come on live. All I have to do is email you, to send me your email, and I can send you an invitation. And you can come on live with me and tell me your stories. And it also gives kids a sense of accomplishment. Because the thing with dogs is if it's a puppy, it's going to grow at a rapid rate. It's going to grow at a much more rapid rate than your child will. So they get to actually experience the learning phases and practice, because practice, self-control, learning a skill, being able to apply a skill, having the self-control and the self-maturity is what the child gets to see the dog develop in a very short period of time. Now, I understand sometimes that feels like it's a very long period of time, but it's really not. It's really a very short period of time. I'm going to be discussing the importance of therapy dogs. and the different kinds of therapy dogs and what dogs do better at certain kinds of therapy than others. And we're also going to be talking tonight. I don't have my expert on, but we will be talking about dogs and the healing of trauma. Please remember when I first got on that I said my first dog definitely was a trauma dog. My mother was leaving incredibly abusive relationship and put me as a 5-year-old child in a VW bug, Scooby Dooby Doo, where are you? With a little collie mix named Henry, who became my best friend and was absolutely going to set the course of what I was going to do with my life. And that dog's name was Henry. And he was gifted during a time that was a traumatic experience. And I don't really remember the circumstances, but I do remember Henry. And I have lots of Henry stories. Henry taught me compassion. Henry taught me, kept all my secrets. Henry taught me pride. Henry taught me a schedule. Henry taught me that I had to care and love for another creature. Henry taught me about all the angels on 4. And that is what I believe dogs are, angels on 4. So I hope you enjoyed that content tonight. I hope that it gave you food for thought with emotional intelligence and children with dogs, and how dogs absolutely teach children emotional intelligence and self-control and compassion and caregiving to another creature who feels empathy, teaches them relationship. And in today's world, it is super important that exercise and play are still physical exercise and play. Let me put it that way. Physical exercise and play are still super valuable to being a very healthy human being. And those are gifts that dogs can give to children. So I hope you enjoyed that content. I'm going to stay on just for a little bit longer. I kind of had a day full of emotional intelligence. So I'm going to cut this kind of early unless somebody wants to chit chat. And then I am happy to chit chat. I'm not seeing anything on my phone that's getting any comments. So, Summer Wells has been 6 months. Summer Wells has been missing out of rural Tennessee. And I believe it's June 14th or 15th. This little girl goes missing. I follow a lot of true crimers, and I'm fascinated. And I'm fascinated by them developing their YouTube channels. June 15th, Hawken County, Tennessee. Summer Wells has been missing for 6 months. People are searching for Summer. Summer has the Wells family's whole life is completely transparent, including their past, anything they've done, including addiction, neglect. DCF has been in. There's other children involved. They've been removed from the home. I became incredibly curious about the dogs. So I am continuously deep diving into the dogs. We discussed this a little bit last night. I've discovered there was 20 plus dogs on the mountain, because they're in Tennessee. They're in very rural Tennessee. So 20 plus dogs on a mountain. It looks like there were pit mixes and hunting dog mixes, and I saw a golden. There is not a ton of information about the dogs. Like I haven't heard a name of a dog yet. And there are some videos with the children playing with dogs, and apparently there were a lot of puppies. I became very curious because there are many theories here, just throwing out theories here. There are many theories about what has happened to little Miss Summer Wells at the age of 5. She's 5. She's very little. And I found it very hard to believe that with 20 plus dogs, because if you say 20, there's probably more, that somebody could just come on this property without there being an awareness or an alert from the dogs. And we discussed that a dog that feels impending danger may not be alerting in the regular barking sense, that dogs have different tones. Like we have vernaculars, which means how we speak. Dogs have different tones in their voice, and they definitely means different things. If you've ever been in a situation where a dog feels there's an impending threat, they may crouch down, their ears, they become on high alert, hyper alert, and they would be low growling. And a pack of that amount of dogs would definitely want to pack around a child, especially children that obviously, through what I have been able to find, have played with and adored these dogs. I also was able to assess that a lot of dogs were dropped off on the Wells property, that this was a place where people could just go drop dogs off, and they were on a mountain. And according to Don Wells, the father of Summer Wells, these dogs would disappear sometimes for days at a time. Well, they're on 20 acres on a mountain. I'm sure dogs went, and they're pack animals. They're going to go pack out. They're going to do things. But mama dogs are always going to come back to puppies. Fact. Just fact. And a male dog's always going to come back to his pack. And you probably have several packs within that amount of dogs. So it'd be very unusual for there not to be an alert. And then I'm following now, who has a ton of information about the dogs, and the main person. It's very hard to find these things. I really have to go like deep diving and looking, and sometimes I just don't have a ton of time to spend on that. However, Jody Sue was a neighbor who moved. And let me back up. So my question was, where were all these dogs? Impossible. Well, I heard an interview with Don Wells, the father, who stated that the dogs were not on the property. 20 dogs not on the property, that they had all disappeared. 20 dogs, puppies, moms, and they all disappeared. So there was no alert. So I just want to throw that out there. I am not a true crime channel. I just talk dog. But I am interested in a couple of cases of true crimes where dogs were definitely involved, because what could the dogs tell us? They could tell us the whole story. So, and I was curious. I haven't heard a dog's name. I see these lovely videos with the kids and the dogs. And Jody Sue is a neighbor who moved after little Miss Summer Wells goes missing, and she is very public and spoken on YouTube. And I found out tonight that she also has cancer. She's very hard to understand sometimes, but she had a thyroid thing, and it's her voice, so she can be hard to say sometimes, hear sometimes. But during those videos, couple interesting things. One is, and I'll also clue you in why I find this so personally interesting. One is, she said that her dog that night got really sick, went into a complete spasm, and it was like the dog had been poisoned. And another dog from the property had gotten really, really ill. Where did these 20 dogs go? Have these dogs been accounted for? I really want to know. If you watch this and you follow this case at all, and you have any information, or you're going deep diving, please let me know. I heard another interview with Jody Sue where she talked about the kids giving puppies away at the bus stop and dropping them off at the local church. I also heard some allegations of animal abuse, that some not nice things had happened with the animals. And that would not surprise me in any kind of neglectful situation, because children and animals are on the bottom of the abuse chain. They absolutely, and animals being the angels, will sometimes suffer abuse from children who are learning about emotional intelligence, not only from the canines where they learn compassion, but from their parents. So that would make sense if you have anybody that has super self-control issues and or anger issues, that if there are animals and children in the house, that they may lash out at the animals and or children. So if you have any information on that, please let me know, because I am continuously finding out some information about these dogs. And the search and rescue dogs came out right after little Miss Summer Wells, who's been missing now for 6 months. She is 5 years old. There are all sorts of theories floating around there. I am not going to get into that unless you wanted to hold a conversation, but it doesn't look like anybody's conversating this evening, which is fine. I'm on live every night until I have a set schedule, but I have made a commitment. I cannot make it every single night. Like last Saturday, I was tired and I just needed a break, but I've tried to make a commitment to come on every night for 2 reasons. One is it is the holidays, and sometimes people just need somebody to keep them company. And 2 is I have started this brand new YouTube channel, and I follow Think Media, and they said that the goal is to get on as much as possible and talk about what you know. And what I know is let's talk dog. So I'm building a community of dog lovers who want to discuss all subjects that include dogs. So search and rescue dogs came on the property, and Dawn said none of these dogs, all the dogs were gone. So I'm going to say my first instinct was those dogs had to alert. There is no way a child was abducted like that without there being something from the animals in one form or another of an alert, because dogs are the best alerters that you can have. 2 is, how do 20 dogs go missing at once? 3 is, the neighbor said dogs suddenly started getting ill. So lots of questions there. And why do I find this so fascinating? I told you a little bit about Henry, my trauma dog, who I adored, who definitely set the course for the career that I was going to develop into. And Henry met a dog poisoner in New Mexico when I was growing up. And I was, I want to say 7. And at a tender young age, I pulled up flyers. I brought them around the neighborhood. We were able to save. Now, let's just think about this for a minute, okay? I just want to take you down this little storyline. Did I mention I went out and did flyers? Did I mention my age? I was 7, knocking door to door. There was a dog poisoner in the neighborhood. Does anybody have a problem with that? Because I did not until I was an adult and thought about it. Okay? Just saying. Knocking on doors, giving flyers. I was able to actually save 3 dogs, which is another story for another day. But my dog fell victim to a dog poisoner. So when that's brought up, I just find that very interesting, that where did 20 dogs go? I also found another tidbit where there's another incident where the dogs suddenly disappear. So if you know anything about this, let's talk dog. I'm so curious. There are a couple YouTubers that I'm trying to approach that have lots and lots of information about this case, and to see if they can start helping dig up some information about the dogs on the property. And I'm going to say it again. 20 dogs just can't disappear. Not if there's puppies. Not if there's puppies. Those mama dogs would have been there. There is no way. So I'm going to leave you with that thought tonight. I hope you're enjoying the live streams, and I will be back tomorrow. Night, guys.